What's up, movie buffs? I'm Jeremy, and movies are terrible. I appreciate you stopping by for this very special interview edition of the Weekly Pop Movie Podcast. I'm joined with a very special guest, director extraordinaire, all the way from Hollywood, California. I am talking with Ryan Patrick.
Hey,
Ryan,
how's it going?
not a lot. I'm really glad to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I saw Gremlins Recall, which is a short film that it's on Vimeo on Ryan Patrick's page, which I will link down in the description. It's like 10 and a half minutes of just pure nostalgic cinematic joy. I absolutely loved it. I reviewed it. And lo and behold, like a couple days later, I probably, to be fair, I probably added Ryan in the tweet, but he was like, "Hey, thanks for reviewing my movie." And I was like, "Man, I'd love to have a chance to sit and talk with you for a minute about it." So that's what we're here doing right now. Ryan, when did you decide, backing up past the Gremlins thing, when did you decide that pursuing filmmaking is something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think I decided that when I was really young, once I started watching, I'm sure you probably have a similar story yourself about your love for movies, watching Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, and just kind of realizing that someone made those things, and there was someone behind the camera. And so for as long as I've, you know, can remember, I've wanted to make movies.
So you just now spoke to my soul. A bunch of the ones that you mentioned. I guess, is it fair to say that Steven Spielberg is like your de facto the guy, the greatest director? Or do you have some more personal ones that you want to throw out there?
I just love worlds when people go out and they kind of do world building. So, I think Spielberg did a lot of that and captured a tone and a feeling that you want to go live in those places. I mean, the same thing happens when I watch, I didn't watch Blade Runner until I was older, but when you watch the original Blade Runner, you want to go there. You want to eat at that noodle shop. So I'm always kind of drawn to creating worlds. And it seems like a pretty divisive film, but I just watched Bright on Netflix, and I was like, yeah, it has its flaws, but it's I want to like that's a cool world they built.
That's a really good point. If nothing else, because I saw Bright and it was on the heels of how many horrible things I'd heard about it.
Yeah.
David Ayer, like that guy. End of Watch is a phenomenal movie, and he wrote Training Day and all of these things. So I wanted to give him a chance. I'm a little more lukewarm on the Max Landis thing, but I really do. I respond to that idea of world building when you talk about your Star Wars and your Lord of the Rings and things like that. And Gremlins in itself has created this kind of micro universe, on a much smaller scale,
Yeah.
but it's really cool that you did go back and kind of revisit that. So before you, like, at what age did you pick up a camera and say, all right, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to try to figure this out and learn the language of filmmaking?
You started using my family's camera. I can't remember how old I was, probably around like 10 or so. When I first started like picking it up and actually making stuff. A somewhat comparable camera. I remember I had a Lego Movie Maker set that I used with a I don't know if you remember that kit that came out. I think maybe Steven Spielberg endorsed it, but it was it came with like a dinosaur set and different little sets you could play around with. So I remember playing with that as well and just kind of making little movies with my friends. Sometimes making little things out of like Play-Doh and stuff like that. And then eventually I got as I got a little older into doing in high school, I would do like wedding videos for people around town, and got a little bit better camera then from making money off those, and got a GL2, Canon GL2, and kept that alive until I went to film school.
That's interesting. I think that weddings can be a very good way to buy yourself into the kind of equipment that it does take for filmmaking. I know a lot of very artistic minded people with brilliant eyes that are specifically photographers that don't love the idea that, like, yeah, I do wedding photography. However, it allows them the ability to go and upgrade their gear and to take it to the next level and pursue those
Yeah.
more personal hobby. So that's awesome. That's actually really cool. I know that the first kind of experiments that I used, or tried doing filmmaking, it was literally no editing because I had no software. So it was just a matter of stopping and starting this digital camera and,
Right.
shooting the scenes in sequence and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know. It's funny. I'm in a position where like I spend more time watching and critiquing movies than I do on the other end of things. And a couple of months ago, I participated in doing audiologist, or the audio boom mic operator, basically, and then audio editing for a short film called Survey. And just that small amount of experience on a set just totally changes my perspective and appreciation for what goes into things that I gotta assume audiences and viewers just they take for granted. What you see is what you get, kind of thing. And
Yeah. No, I think the inherent idea behind movies as an audience member is you're supposed to kind of forget about your job, your cares, and kind of get lost in the story and not think about all the work that went into making a film. And I think that's when films are most effective, right? When you have a good time and it's escapism, and you're not thinking about that. This one scene took them 5 days to film, So
well, and now that you've seen that side of it, does it fuck up your experience to where you can't objectively see movies anymore because you do know like the secret ingredients or whatnot, or are you able to shut that off?
yeah, I'm totally able to shut that off. My family or my friends who aren't in film, I go see a movie with them. They're like, "You must watch film so much differently," and I'm like, "I don't think so. I'm just watching it to see was it a good movie? Did I have fun watching it?" I might notice that that was a cool shot or something like that, or the production design was really great on this one scene or something, along those lines. But ultimately, I'm there as an audience member just like anyone else, and I don't try to concentrate harder or what have you in watching a movie. I'm there for fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I guess in my mind, I'm wondering is if you're watching just, I don't know, the new Jurassic World movie, and you see this certain shot and you're like, oh, that's got to be a drone, or that's got to be a crane, or that's got to be one of these different kind of things. Maybe I'll implement that into my repertoire one of these days, or something like that.
I mean, occasionally, yeah. I mean, it's not I mean, it's something like I'll be like, oh, that was a really cool, interesting, angle, or just an idea. Like I just watched. This is not a Jurassic Park level movie, but it's still Spielberg, The Post. And I just remember sitting. I just watched it last week, and there was a shot. I think Meryl Streep's on the phone, and the camera is like above her at a high angle inside, and it's like circling around her. And I was like, I've never seen someone do that before. And I was like, huh, that's something that's interesting and different perspective on kind of what was kind of just a mundane scene, and more just like a almost like a courtroom drama kind of movie.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, Spielberg, if he's still got new tricks in his bag, that's impressive, because that dude has got a massive filmography, and I love everything he does. It's funny when you kind of compare it to Jurassic Park. I think there's Spielberg in two different distinctive modes. There's Hollywood blockbuster, crowd pleasing Steven Spielberg, and then he does more, kind of sophisticated
Right.
adult themed stuff, and I appreciate both of it. But there's just something about the magic that Steven Spielberg really directly contributed to. I mean, all the way moving forward after Jaws, and even still to this day with Ready Player One, like he very much tapped into the zeitgeist and into there's an emotional connection that almost all Americans of a certain age have to cinema, and it is a lot of it courtesy to Steven Spielberg in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So you were a big Gremlins fan, I assume, or you just decided I'm gonna grab a random movie hat here?
I am a Gremlins fan. I am some of my friends who live out here in LA who help me kind of I ran ideas off them, and I would send them drafts of the script and get their thoughts, are probably a little more hardcore than me. One of them has a Gremlins tattoo on his arm. I don't have that, but no, I am a Gremlins, more of a Gremlins 1 fan, but a Gremlins fan for sure.
It's funny, man. I don't remember liking the second Gremlins at all.
I think I liked it. I liked it when I was younger a bit more, and I obviously rewatched it a few times for making this film. And You know, there's some redeemable qualities of it. It's not my favorite of the two. It's definitely different, pushes the tone a lot sillier, but the puppets in it are incredible puppets, even compared to the first film.
I almost feel like there's a lot more of a subtext, or like a lot more going on as far as satire in Gremlins 2, which I can appreciate. I need to go back and revisit it. But yes, the puppets, totally next level compared to the first one. But all right, so we've talked a little bit about Spielberg. We've talked a little bit about, you know, Gremlins and stuff like that. I do want to come back around to nostalgia just briefly, because I know that it's such a vast conversation and such a specific thing, especially with the way that you know, the current landscape that we're in. But when you watch a movie like Jurassic World, did it capture the feeling that you had visiting the original Jurassic Park 20 some years ago?
Not entirely, I would say. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, and well, I guess I should have clarified more on an emotional level than from like a
Emotional.
technical or critical perspective. And yes, I did. You know, when the theme music swells up and we first see the park opened, I got chills. Like it was almost a replication of it was meant to evoke the way that we felt when we first saw Alan Grant see the Brachiosaurus go up and start grazing in the foliage in the tree. And so it instantly brings you back to that place. And I was just kind of curious if you have those experiences with Star Wars, you
Yeah.
know, like that.
Well, I mean, just going to Jurassic Park, you know, I feel like there are elements of Jurassic World that obviously do feel like the original. And you know, who didn't want to see the park opened? Like that's such a great natural story transition for a new film. You know, I loved seeing those moments. As a fan of theme parks myself as well,
Sure.
it was just cool to see. You know, I think what kind of breaks maybe Jurassic World a little bit from Jurassic Park for me is the fact that you have this, you know, new CG element to it. And I think a lot of the tone about Jurassic Park and how they shot it, you know, is still very much ground level. You know, it feels like the camera is on someone's shoulder, or you know, with the characters there. And the new one, you know, you're kind of flying around the park. You're getting crazy high angles as a giant sea dinosaur eats a shark off a thing. You know, it's a lot more. The scale feels so much bigger and so much more sweeping. Not that that's any worse, but I think that does alter the tone of the movie from where we're seeing it from our point of view as the audience.
I get it. I totally see where you're coming from. And kind of to bring this back around to Gremlins Recall, obviously, as someone who was a fan of it, and because the 80s is big right now, were there certain elements or certain feelings that you had from your childhood that you wanted to introduce new audiences to, or make audiences connect with? Like, were there certain elements of the movie that you're like, I've got to include this
Yeah.
because the way it made me feel then?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first few drafts of the script that I wrote, I had not seen Gremlins in a while. So I really wrote them off of the feeling that the original gave me, that I remembered and stuck with me, and wasn't trying to fit everything in, because I didn't remember everything. You know, when you go and watch Gremlins again, you know, with kind of fresh eyes after a year or 6 months, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about all the goofy pocket gadgets that the father has, and you know, things like that, the smaller details. But you know, the broad strokes that stick with you, I wanted to include in the movie. You know, like a gremlin getting his face melted off. You know, there's a lot of shadow work in Gremlins. Like you see their shadows roaming around a lot, and then that kind of stuck with me. So those kind of elements of, you know, Christmas time and those kind of feelings I wrote into the script first, and then once I felt like I had a draft going that I was getting happier with, I went back and watched the movies again and included a little more details to make sure we got you know, plot elements right, and stuff about the Gremlins that obviously bigger fans would want to see.
Yeah, I like the Wing Company or Wing Corporation was one of the first things that I globbed onto.
Yeah.
Opening up with the same track that the original opens up to. And I do. I have such a reverence for this, you know, the Gremlins film. And when I saw Recall, it's just what I was looking for was a little glimmer of that feeling that I got. And that's kind of what separates it from like a cheap copy of itself or like a remake of it. This is very much its own story. It's self-contained, and it does just enough world building to let you know where we're at this time. They are, I think Erik referred to him as genetic GM.
Yeah, genetically modified. Yeah, Erik Fox, the creature designer.
Yes, absolutely. And I had a
Yeah.
great conversation with him, and it is because the puppet work is so on point, and that's something that I really like about it. Okay, so let me set it up real quick. In this timeline, they have taken the traits from the Mogwais that made them dangerous, the 3 rules that it can't break, and they've basically corrected that to where now you can have pet Mogwai without the fear of them turning into gremlins.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a girl and a woman that work at a diner, and I apologize. It might just be my ignorance. I might have just missed the small detail. Are they mother and daughter?
They're not mother and daughter. That's actually her aunt.
Okay, they are related then. Okay.
They are related, yes. Yeah, but they're not directly related. Yeah.
So they're working at a diner, obviously in a very rural area. It's about to close down. Lo and behold, a gentleman who drives the wing. Basically, it's like the pound. They go around and they pick up defective gremlins and mogwais, or mogwais before they become gremlins. What is the what was the flaw? Did you ever think that in your head? Like, what causes these couple to not onto it?
No, yeah, I definitely, that's something that if I had a little bit longer time and could explore more, I would have put that in there. But I did have a draft where we were cutting between the wing office, like the corporation, realizing there was an issue, and then this small story of in the diner with the driver. It just proved a little bit too complicated for a short. But the idea was that this is something that the Mogwai have figured out a way to get around. Right. So if you imagine that there is like a process where the Wing Corporation gives them their medicine, and maybe brands them or something like that, that they're safe, are smart and mischievous, and often in the movies have their own personalities, like Stripe or Mohawk or something like that. And a few of them have banded together, and they figured out a way to, get that mark of approval, but never take the medicine. So these are kind of like the bad gremlin, the bad Mogwai that are figuring out a way to get around the process.
Now that you say that, it totally harkens to the idea of Stripe gnawing the alarm clock cable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Manipulate him. So yeah, they basically tricked the system. That's really cool. I didn't key in on that, and until watching your film. And again, this is probably just because I wasn't always that observant, but I think that Joe Dante must have been paying homage to Alien because of how similar the cocoons actually look.
Yeah.
Alien.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure. I never really read about the genesis of the original cocoons. I mean, I feel like you can kind of, we did some research online, and you can see that they are kind of translucent, in the original ones and the second one, and you can kind of see them inside, more like a caterpillar than the alien cocoons, which you kind of have to open. But
very cool. So like, we're gonna do a little bit of Gremlins trivia. Before we do move on to that, if there's one goal for this Gremlins Recall, like, if that was a stupid way of phrasing this, if you had an opportunity to tell a feature-length film and they were like, hey, go picture, you're ready to go, do you feel that you have a concept that could lend itself to that format?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. In all honesty, I don't have a script ready to go, because I figured that probably wasn't in the cards, as they're kind of writing and I think rewriting the new Gremlins 3, hopefully. But no, I think what I love about the idea we came up with is that it can either be a very small story like we created for Gremlins Recall, because you can tell a singular narrative, in a small town if you wanted to do that. But if you think about it, on a bigger scale, you could have millions of people who have these Mogwai already, and you could tell kind of this downfall of civilization story on a much, bigger worldwide or just even like a city scale, and see them wreak havoc over, a course of a bigger area than, a Kingston Falls or Clamp Industries building.
So just curious, if you could go one way or the other, do you like the more self-contained, tight, small scale, or would you like to see something bigger in scope and more epic if as a fan or a viewer?
I think for a feature film, you probably would want to get a little bit bigger, especially as you reach into the climax, the third act of the movie, and kind of destroy things and have the heroes kind of pick up the pieces and try to figure out how to get out of this. But I think I think this could also work as a TV show. You could have it could be the beginning. The first season could be more of like a road movie or something like that, where you have these two characters, Owen and Claire, who both kind of lost everything or don't have a lot, and kind of this father-daughter relationship that they can kind of develop with each other as they go and try to hunt down this missing truck now.
I just hope that one of those two characters has a speech that is near as traumatizing as Phoebe Cates' story in the original Gremlin. That is literally one of my favorite scenes in a movie of all time, because I don't know if you may remember me referencing it in the review, but like the Christmas is so saccharine and so sappy and so sentimental, and to find something that's like, it's not mean spirited, but it's got a very subversive edge to it. And I always responded to that. As a kid, it made me feel so bad for her. And then years later, I realized like that was just a really dark joke.
Right. Yeah.
Good stuff.
No, I think she also has in the second one, she has also a similar scene where she goes into a story about some other holiday, or maybe it's still Christmas, and then she gets like cut off. She's like, no, right now. So they kind of poke fun at that in the second movie.
That's awesome. I'm gonna revisit that one. But I can't praise highly enough. I know you've heard me kissing ass about this whole Gremlins thing, but I've shared the link to the video. I've shared the link to the review. I cannot recommend highly enough. If you are a fan of 80s pop culture, if you're a fan of Gremlins, or hell, if you're a fan of good movies, I think that you should definitely give it a watch. I mean, if I see you on Facebook or I see you on Twitter, I know you don't have anything better to do. So take the minute and watch the movie. That's my plug. All right. So Ryan, you down to play some games here for a second?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let me get my timer set real quick. I've got a rapid fire question round. No wrong answers, just answers you will be judged harshly for if you say something people don't like. No, let's see. All right, here we go. Where are my questions at? People like dead air, don't they? Some people enjoy it. All right, here we go. Favorites of 2017, just one or two movies that you love this year.
Oh man, Shape of Water was great. I also really enjoyed the Florida Project.
Great answers. The person in front of you at the theater won't stop texting and using their phone. What do you do?
If it keeps going on for a while, I'll probably just shout, "Put your phone away," and that usually embarrasses them enough to stop.
Very good, very good. And what movie do you love that other people hate?
Oh, I get mostly negative reactions when I say this, but I actually really like Pacific Rim.
Oh man, I'm right there with you.
But a lot of people are like, "What the?" I'm like, I know it's not cheesy enough, but it's fun, so I'm on board.
Movie that you hate that other people love.
Movie that I hate that other people love. Man, this is not a thing that I think about too often.
Pass.
Yeah, let me get back to you on that one. Let me think about it.
What was a scene from a movie that scarred you for life?
Oh man, these are all great questions. I just don't think of them too often. I would say growing up, I would think about in Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom when he pulls his heart out.
Right? Yeah, that was a.
Yeah, that's dark.
All right, 2020. Adam Wingard's giving us a Kong versus Godzilla movie. Who wins?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Kong. He's a lot more agile, I feel like.
I dig it. I dig it. Are aliens real?
Those new things came out from the government, it's looking like it.
Yeah, that's right. What about ghosts? Are ghosts real?
I don't want to deal with ghosts, so I'm gonna say no. I don't want to meet a ghost.
If you could be punched in the face by any action hero, who would it be?
Oh, I'm gonna say, I love watching, bad action movies, so I'm gonna say Jean-Claude Van Damme or something like that.
You are speaking to my soul, bro. That was the one that I liked out of all those guys when I was. Good answer. What is your favorite horror reboot or remake?
Favorite horror reboot or remake? Oh man. I don't love it, but I think it was marketed the wrong way. But I really love The Thing, and I liked the thought of telling the Norwegianer story. Um, I don't think it was done the right way, but I enjoyed their enthusiasm to tell that story. That was the obvious way to go with that, and I'm glad they did.
I'm gonna go visit it strictly because you said that. I love The Thing. I think The Thing itself is a remake of The Thing from Another World. So
Yes, yeah.
go wrong. My wife's Norwegian. We should sit down and watch this prequel.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's slipped my mind that The Thing is a remake, right? So I'm going to say, yeah, the original Thing then. But they have the one that came out more recently that tells the Norwegian story. Not the best movie. It's a little bit trying to reference the Thing, the Carpenter Thing, a little bit too much, but interesting mythos.
I got a stupid podcast coming up after this in honor of The Shape of Water, where we're talking about science fiction, robots, aliens, monsters, and cartoon characters that we think are sexy. What is a cartoon character that you think is sexy?
Oh, definitely. Is it the Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Is it Jessica Rabbit? Is that who that is?
That might be the right. Yeah, like you.
Yeah. I want to say it's her name. I was like, is that the right name? Why does she have a rabbit name if she's a human?
Let's see. What was your favorite game to play in the arcade?
Oh man. I always liked winning tickets in the arcade growing up. I thought that was really cool because I get like bouncy balls and those sticky fingers that you could throw and they would stick to the wall. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I liked the games that you had to like a light would go around. They're so simple. Light would go around. You have to hit the button and get the light on the certain dot, or something like that. I just really enjoyed playing the ticket games.
So what about some embarrassing fashion trend that you adopted that now you look back at it and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Growing up, a lot of for some reason a lot of kids had bowl cuts.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I need to get a bowl cut, hairstyle. And so I did one, but my hair is it's a little bit wavy, it's a little bit curly, and I had this really awful bowl cut with a part down the center. So that was
that was a good look, wasn't
pretty
it?
bad. Yeah.
Love it. My mom made me have a mullet for the first 12 years of my life, and I didn't talk to her. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
Let's see. Will AI eventually inherit the Earth?
I hope not. Because I think we all still wanna have incomes, right? So we need to figure that out too.
Yeah. One more question. I know we ran a little bit late, but you've got some good answers, and plus, I talk slow. Who would you want to play you in your biopic?
I was talking to someone about this earlier, like who's maybe an underappreciated actor, and I was like, I know who I really like, who a lot of people don't like, I like Nicolas Cage a bunch. I think my favorite movie is Adaptation, and I
Oh,
think he's
great movie.
amazing in that movie. And I think he's amazing in Wild at Heart. He plays a little bit crazy, guy there, and
Movie.
I think that would be a super weird choice to play me. And yeah, as a fan, I'd be down.
I would sign up for that. Nicolas Cage is one of those actors who, like, he's one of the most talented in the business. There is nobody who can, like, he's Nicolas Cage through and through. And then at the same time, he is one of the worst, most god awful act. It just depends on the movie he's in. He's so Nick Cage. Like, I absolutely love The Wicker Man, but for reasons, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I think he sometimes, he gets put in movies that aren't not fit for him. But,
Yeah.
there's that new Mom and Dad. I don't know if you saw that new horror comedy Mom and Dad, the trailer he's in. I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. Nicolas
Yeah.
Cage is going nuts. Yeah, count me in.
Very, very curious about how that works out. I love the idea of it. And also I love Selma Blair. It's good to see her doing more
Yeah,
stuff, anything, because she's always been awesome.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, Ryan, this is the part where your credibility gets put on the line.
Okay.
And are you? We're gonna do a couple of rounds of Gremlins trivia. I will preface this by saying I didn't pick the easiest questions, so there's no shame in getting them wrong. But
Oh
I have a
man.
feeling after just talking to you for a couple of minutes, you're gonna do just fine. You ready for
Yeah.
this?
I don't want to be shamed by all the Gremlins fans out there if I don't get these right. So we'll see. We'll see.
At least 60 to 100 people watch this video, and they will fork, and yeah, they'll show up like an angry mob. They don't mind driving. Okay. What was the name of the actor in Gremlins, and what was the name of his character?
The main character, right? The guy. Is who you're
Uh-huh.
talking about? Yeah, it was his name. The character's name is Billy, and it was played by Zach Callahan.
Very good.
Yeah.
This movie was directed by Joe Dante, but who wrote it?
Chris Columbus wrote it, who did the Harry Potter movie.
Nailing it.
Yeah.
How? Okay, say Mogwai for me real quick.
Mogwai?
Okay, okay. I don't know why I never questioned it in my life, but then after I did the last interview, there was a discrepancy. I think I was saying it slightly different from Erik, and I was like, "Oh, I'm wrong."
Oh
How?
yeah. During our auditions where we auditioned a bunch of actors for the Pitchman role, I heard every different iteration of Mogwai. So yeah, it gets done wrong a lot. Yeah.
How many Mogwai does Gizmo spawn after accidentally getting wet by old Corey Feldman? And what was their leader's name?
Ooh, okay. Oh, man, how many were there? Because they all fit into like a shoebox or a box when they're eating the chicken. So there's I'll say six. And the first the first movie has, I believe, Stripe in it, and the second movie the leader is Mohawk, but I could have that backwards.
You are 90% right. There are actually five, and the leader is
Oh,
exactly what you said. It's Stripe in the first one. So
okay. Yeah.
okay, in Cantonese, blank means devil or demon.
In Cantonese, well, in Chinese, I know that the number 4 is also associated with bad luck because I think it means death, and I think the number 4 is shi, but I'm not sure how that goes back to Gremlins. So maybe I'm totally wrong on that.
I have no idea what the hell we're talking about. Okay, in Cantonese, Mogwai
Oh,
means devil.
Mogwai. Oh, okay. Did not know that. Yeah.
It's said that the Gremlins and this one other movie were responsible for the MPAA rating of PG-13.
That whole question there. Say that one more time.
I probably messed it up. Okay. It's said that Gremlins and this one other movie were responsible for the creation of the PG-13 rating.
Oh,
Give you a hint real quick because I want to hear.
knew that about Gremlins. Was it an Indiana Jones movie?
It was an Indiana Jones movie.
Was it so 84 was the first Gremlins. Man, maybe it was Temple of Doom.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Back to that heart ripping scene. Let's see. Okay, so Gremlins opened in 1984, exactly like you just said, on the exact same day as what other massively successful genre-bending, possibly horror comedy?
Oh man, it was a horror comedy, like similar in tone to Gremlins, right?
Very similar in tone. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Man, was it The Burbs or something like that?
I'm gonna give you one more hint, and it starts with the exact same letter as Gremlins.
Oh, is it Goonies?
Ghostbusters, actually.
Ghostbusters. Okay, okay.
It's hard to call that one a horror. I know it's more like a supernatural comedy, but I knew if I said that,
Yeah, I
you'd
mean, it's
nail it.
that's surprising that they had them released the same time. That's they're similar for sure.
So, true or false? In the original story, Gizmo and Spike, in the original screenplay, Gizmo and Spike were the same character.
Uh, oh man, that would be interesting choice. I'm gonna say false.
It is true, and it
It's true.
would be a really interesting choice. Dante was all about it. Steven Spielberg said, like, "No, we need a clear somebody to root for." But yeah, that would have made the dynamic a lot different, which is it's kind of cool to think about. It's like a Elseworld kind of universe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I was reading. I think I read that one of the things they might tackle in the new Chris Columbus Gremlins 3 is the root of all these problems is Gizmo. Once you just kill Gizmo, there's no more Gremlins or other Mogwai, right? So
Yeah, it's like the Night King.
yeah, kill him at the source. Unfortunately, it's a cute, lovable character.
What is the name of the town in which the story takes place?
That's Kingston Falls.
You are on top of this, man. What was the name of the Mogwai that Roy Hanson was running tests on in the original Gremlins?
Ooh, the name of the Mogwai that he was running tests on. I don't know that one.
I didn't either. That was just thrown in there to be different, apparently. All right, and then one more, and actually, I love the fact that you touched on it. I don't know if you keyed in this much on it, but you mentioned that Rand is an inventor, and he says, "I made this, the blank. It's the invention of the century, friend. It eliminates the need to carry heavy luggage and things when you travel. You got yourself your shaving mirror, you got yourself your toothbrush, you got yourself a toothpick, you got toenail clippers, you got a nail file, and you got yourself a dental mirror. This is going to revolutionize traveling."
That's the bathroom
What
buddy.
is
The bathroom buddy.
traveling?
Yeah.
Right, it is, dude. Good
Yeah.
job. Fantastic. You did great. All right. Well, yeah, I wanted to again direct everybody over to Ryan Patrick on Vimeo. That's where I have found the majority of the projects that you've worked on. Is there any other places that we should go to be able to check you out or support you?
Yeah, my website, it's just ryanpatrick.us, the letters UNS, and I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, ryanpatrickus with no dot this time. Yeah, that's it.
Any Patreon or anything like that?
Nope,
Okay. Okay. And
not
then
for me. No.
is there any way that we can purchase that? Are you considering maybe getting digital copies available for sale for Gremlins? Or is that something that you're actually not able to do?
Yeah, I'm just giving everything away. I'm not trying to tread on any more copyright infringement than I already did. So yeah, no, Gremlins Recall is completely free. The soundtrack is also completely free. That's also on my website. Yeah, and on my website you can check out storyboards and behind the scenes photos, videos, all that stuff for free.
Pat that guy on the back, whoever did the synth score for Gremlins Recall. I absolutely love that kind of synthwave stuff. So all around, just kudos. I commend you. I hope to see many more good things from you and projects in the future. And this has been super fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is great.
A little bit, Ryan.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any words of wisdom to impart on these crazy people, we will go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Just yeah, if you want to make movies, go out and do it. That's what people always email me like, how do I do that? I'm like, take with what you have and And if you have a crappy camera, that's fine. Just make that part of the aesthetic and just go and make your horror, comedy, whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. Well, hey, again, thank you so much. Look forward to talking to you again in the future. And you guys for stopping by to check out this interview with Ryan Patrick. Check down in the description. I will post links to everything that you need to know. Make sure to support him also over on Twitter for sure. And until next time, you guys be terrible.